Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Good Monday afternoon. I'm First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro here with your afternoon First Alert weather show. We'll be taking you through some updates in the forecast, talking about a few other things to look ahead to for this week. It is the second week of February after all. Hard to believe that we're already 1 week into February. It feels like it's going by quicker than January. But for this week, really the big talking point here is that it's just going to be a much quieter week. The last 3 to 4 weeks, we've had not only the bitter cold, but we've had what feels like snow showers on almost a daily sort of basis, and there was some icy conditions too. At times it just felt like roads really never had a chance to improve either because of all of those frigid cold temps. We saw a lot of lows in the single digits and even sub-zero territory during that time too. So really one of the big takeaways for this week is that it will just be a much quieter week. Also a little bit milder. Hard to say mild when it's still only in the 30s, but at least compared to these last three weeks, not quite so bitter cold here in the forecast. Now, before we get into the forecast a little bit more, there is actually one thing I do want to show you real quick, kind of a cool piece of weather history here for the state of Michigan. So on this day in 1934, so this is over 90 years ago, just over 90 years ago, we do have the record for the coldest temperature that's been recorded in the state of Michigan. And it's surprising me because you would have thought that maybe this was in the UP, especially up in the Keweenaw Peninsula or somewhere like that. But it was in Vanderbilt, Michigan. That's just north of Gaylord. That was in 1934, a temperature of -51. And that wasn't even the wind chill either. But this is a spot where I have seen, especially in the spring when we have clear mornings, that area, just because the elevation there is ever so slightly higher, it does lend to some colder temperatures that can actually be drastically colder than the rest of the area. But that is the record that was set on this day in 1934. So a pretty cool number to see there, 92 years ago. Well, let's get into our forecast for today. Now, first, again, I was mentioning that we do have a pretty quiet week ahead of us. Really, the only thing in the forecast right now is just that we do have a little bit of wintry mix or even some freezing drizzle for tonight. So I'd say freezing drizzle or a little bit of sleet. The time frame of this is going to be about 10 this evening to 4 in the morning tomorrow. Very light glaze of ice is going to be possible. Now, we'll have temps in the mid-20s for tonight, so if anything, I do want to first alert you to the fact that we could see some slick roads out there for tomorrow morning. I would say especially on bridges and overpasses, but again, we do expect the nature of any of these showers to move through to be pretty light because the bulk of the system is actually going to be much farther north from our area, really closer to the Straits of Mackinac and the Upper Peninsula. So we're sort of like just getting grazed by the system as it moves through for tonight. But I'll take you over to the First Alert hour by hour just to show you here that, again, this is expected to be somewhat of a quiet system. We really aren't picking up much of the bulk of it at all. This is right now on the First Alert hour by hour. We've definitely been building up some clouds throughout the morning. And as we go through the afternoon, we'll still be dry, just building up even more cloud coverage as well. So your drive home from work later on, that's expected to have some pretty easygoing weather. And even parents, when you're picking your students up from school later today, we do expect the weather to be pretty easygoing for that. Also a bit warmer than this morning, so we had single digits out the door. We do expect mid to upper 20s for the afternoon bus stops. Now, as we go into the evening, this right here is about 10 o'clock this evening. So notice that we start to see a couple of those showers moving in. The pink is highlighting wintry mix. So that could be sleet or it can be freezing rain, or rather a freezing drizzle or very light freezing rain. But notice where this comes in here, really not too much farther south than the Saginaw area. Now, maybe we can have just sort of a brief sprinkle near Chesaning or Birch Run, but it really does look to stay near M20 or M46 and then anywhere to the north of there. So out of everybody, I would say that Owasso, Flint, and Lapeer are going to have the greatest chance of missing pretty much all of this or staying completely dry for tonight. But here in the Saginaw, Bay City, and Midland areas, there certainly is some chance to see some of this light freezing drizzle between about 10 and midnight this evening especially. But Mount Pleasant, Caro, Sandusky, Deckerville, Ubley, Bad Axe, so even the northern thumb expected to see a little bit of this activity too. And looking over in the comments here on Facebook, I am monitoring the comments on Facebook Live, so if you have any questions that you want to ask too, just feel free to put them in there and I can respond to them. But Taylor, parent, and asking, is Saginaw, Michigan going to get some freezing drizzle tonight? Indeed, it certainly is possible. Again, that time frame of the best chance for that for Saginaw would be between about 10 and midnight this evening. I'll play the hour by hour forward a little bit farther, so that's at about midnight tonight too. So again, notice how a little bit of that wintry mix is being shown in the thumb, especially too, from Bad Axe south towards Sandusky. Should be pretty brief, and you notice here how the coverage of all this activity is actually pretty sparse in our area. I'll zoom the hour by hour out just a little bit more to show you how really, again, the majority of the system is going to be passing through the Upper Peninsula and bringing more snow to the Upper Peninsula as well. I'll skip out of the hour by hour for a second just to come back so we can zoom this right back in. So there we are at 2 o'clock tonight. You notice how most of these showers have already left our area. And then after that, other than, I'd say, just a lingering flurry tomorrow morning, we do expect a dry Tuesday. On Tuesday, however, we'll just hold on to a lot of cloud coverage as well. I've seen Emily Russell asking about Pinconning, and then Stacy Bowers asking about Aranac County too. So let me back up the hour by hour just a little bit here again just to show you. This is at about 10 to 11 o'clock this evening. Certainly the Pinconning and the Aranac County areas do have that possibility of seeing some of this freezing drizzle, although I think it would be pretty brief. Likely for any of these spots lasting no more than about 2 or 3 hours. The rule of thumb for tonight, pretty much if you're around Saginaw or anywhere to the north of Saginaw, that's where you have that possibility of seeing some of this freezing drizzle. We'll take a look at the ice totals here. So this is that technically freezing rain or freezing drizzle accumulation. Notice that the first solar ice predictor is really just sparsely populated with this too. We're talking about 1/100th of an inch, maybe 2/100ths of an inch. So this is by definition just a glaze, a very light glaze of ice. Really don't think that we'll see widespread or major holdups for tomorrow morning, but still this is enough that some areas, especially that are untreated, that's where you could see just some icy patches developing for the morning drive tomorrow. Notice how the pink highlighting here that's showing this is really focused around the Saginaw Bay area and then north of there into our northern counties. So certainly, again, not expecting this to be a major system moving through, but still enough where, especially if you're heading out early in the morning, say if you commute at about 3, 4, 5 in the morning, I think that's where you could possibly see some of these icy areas developing. And one important note about this too is given the fact that this winds down fairly early in the overnight still too, is that road crews should be able to have enough time to get some salt down too, and with temps only in the mid-20s tonight, road salt should be able to work somewhat effectively here. And in fact, as we go into the daytime tomorrow, we actually do expect temps to eventually reach above freezing, so any ice that may form is not expected to last all day. Will actually naturally start to melt away towards the late morning. Take a look at the temperature outlook for tomorrow. So you see this here exactly. We're right at 32 by 10 in the morning, and then from there we're heading towards the mid to upper 30s for the afternoon. So even if we do have any ice that develops on some roadways this evening, it really shouldn't be able to stick around anywhere past, I'd say 9 or 10 o'clock, maybe even earlier than that too, thanks to any road salt and road treatments that'll be put down. So going back to the comments here on Facebook, seeing Stacy saying thank you, no problem. Darwina Austin asking Flint, Genesee County. So Flint and Genesee County, and I'll take you right back over to that hour by hour again. If you are in some of our southern communities like Flint, I think you'll be able to miss most, if not all of this too. So notice how this activity is staying farther north towards Saginaw. Maybe again a sprinkle towards Birch Run or the Otisville area, but that would be very brief if that does move through there. So I think Flint, especially out of everybody, likely to actually still just fare pretty well as we go throughout tonight, with some quieter and conditions staying on the drier side for there as well. But with this system, other than this, we do have a very quiet week ahead of us here still. So really, we just have to get through tonight with this system passing by, and then the rest of the week, Tuesday, all the way through Saturday, really, we do have dry weather. Looks like we don't really have a chance of wet weather returning after this until Sunday. So we'll go ahead and we'll take just a quick break here real quick, and then when we come back from the break, we'll talk more about that extended forecast. All right, welcome back from that break. So in the forecast here, we are still going to be tracking a pretty quiet week ahead of us after that brief round of wintry mix or some freezing drizzle for tonight. I do want to take you to the First Alert 7-day forecast. Pardon that there. There we are, back to the 7-day forecast. So we do have, again, after this, actually a very dry week ahead of us. So hold on to cloud coverage, though, for much of the week. It's not until about Friday or Valentine's Day, this upcoming Saturday, that we start to see a better chance for a few peaks of sun to work its way into the forecast. And then on Sunday, we've seen at least a couple of our forecast models pointing towards perhaps another round of wintry mix coming through around then. Temps should be in the mid-30s. We currently have 36 for the high on Sunday, so that certainly does introduce that chance of both rain and snowfall to the forecast around that time. So we will be keeping an eye on that for this Sunday, but quite frankly, we really haven't seen too strong of a signal for that right now. It's just something that's kind of been out there a little bit in the models. So again, we'll just be monitoring that for the week. But you see here, very calm weather pattern for the week, and that isolated snow for tomorrow, that's really just a few of those flurries that could linger in the morning tomorrow. Otherwise, just mostly cloudy tomorrow. Mostly cloudy again on Wednesday and Thursday, and then those partly cloudy skies for Friday and Saturday. So kind of a change of pace from where we've been recently. I'll say it's actually kind of nice, even though I know I've talked about it quite a bit before, how much I love winter, but it is nice sometimes to just have a quieter week where there isn't too much going on in the forecast. And I know for a lot of you too who commute every day, certainly is something nice to see too. So just kind of a nice change of pace here for this week ahead. Tomorrow should be the warmest day of the week, though, with that high. We currently have about 37. There could be a few places, actually, that overperform with the highs for tomorrow, closer to 38 or 39 degrees. So I have those on your screen here. You can pretty clearly see where we do have some of the warmest temps for tomorrow. This is some of the warmest weather that we've had in over 3 weeks. So definitely a change of pace, and with temps above freezing tomorrow, the snow pack is going to settle down a little bit more, and if you have any spots, maybe if you live in a neighborhood that just has kind of that one pesky, icy spot on the road, that should also be able to melt away with these temps for tomorrow too. So this is being helped by just a light southerly wind. So looking pretty decent for tomorrow as far as these weather conditions go. We just won't really see a lot of sun with those upper 30s. Now, if we did have some sun tomorrow, I think 40s actually would be pretty easily attainable. But our temperature almanac for right now does show the normal high still right around 30 degrees, but it is technically going up. And that will be the case not only just for the rest of the week, but actually for the rest of the winter and the springtime. So we've already passed what is technically the coldest time of the year. So also just something interesting to look at for our temperatures. And I did have the countdown earlier this morning on our wake up newscast, but always kind of fun to look at the countdown too, because again, it feels like February's been going by quick. We're only 5 days away from Valentine's Day, and we're actually less than 4 weeks away from the time change. So we'll spring forward on March 8th. And at least to me, it always does feel like once we have the time change, it feels like things start to really speed up pretty quickly through March and then into April. And we're actually just over a month away from St. Patrick's Day, and we're 39 days away from the first day of spring. So that spring equinox, that is going to be on March 20th. So awesome dates to look forward to here if you maybe have been kind of over winter at this point and ready for some more spring weather. So just got to give it a little bit more time, but with that time change coming up, things are really going to feel like they're getting a bit quicker. But just looking back to the comments here on Facebook real quick, seeing Craig Hall saying hi. I hope you're having a great afternoon, Craig. And saw somebody else here too. Shannon also mentioning the groundhog seeing the shadows, so 6 more weeks of winter. So yeah, we'll see. Phil was right. Phil was kind of half right last year with his prediction. So really, we'll just have to see how things shake out from here. But that's about all we have for your First Alert weather show for this afternoon. Coming up later today for our evening newscast, we'll have First Alert Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick here, and he'll have another First Alert weather show coming up at 9 o'clock this evening on all of the same live stream channels as well. So be sure to tune into him both on air and online here for that other live stream update later on today. But in the meantime, hope that you have a great rest of your Monday afternoon, and hope that you enjoy the rest of your week as well.